Good evening and welcome to the April 22nd, 2024 Valley View regularly scheduled school board meeting. I would ask that you silence your cell phones, rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Member Badouris. If you would, please. Mr. Badouris. Secretary Pro Tem Campbell, the board affirmation statement, please.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Thank you. Moving down the agenda, Dr. Wood.
Thank you, Board President Quigley. We are seeking your approval of the agenda as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Moving down the agenda, Dr. Wood, the student and staff recognition spotlight video.
Yes, we have one teacher spotlight video tonight, and it is Mrs. Sadiz, or Amanda Sadiz, Secondary Transition Experience Program teacher, also known as STEP. And she'll give us an inside look at STEP programming, as well as some things that happened in her life that motivated her to become an educator.
Find a new partner, because you guys were all working together on similar things, so find somebody from a different group. There we go. Hand up, pair up. When you hear the bell, then we'll switch, okay?
Our curriculum, where it's kind of broken down, we have a quarterly assessment, and it's broken down into 4 areas: daily living skills, social skills, vocational skills, and community skills.
Okay, if you'd rather take a hike, follow me. If you'd rather have a picnic, follow Ms. Jones.
Each classroom teacher, we all come to the rec twice a week. So that's built into our schedule. We cook once a week, we go grocery shopping, we take the PACE bus, we have to cover sit-down restaurants because those skills that we take advantage of that we can do independently, we have to explicitly teach those skills.
Why did you become a special education teacher?
When I was I want to say 11 or 12, my cousin was born with multiple disabilities, and that was a new experience for everybody. I could feel that even as a young child. And so then she became older, and I just felt like I really wanted to communicate with her and figure that out. And now I'm in high school at that point, and I wanted to bring awareness. I wrote an article for my school newspaper on just accepting individuals with disabilities for just not treating them differently, because I was kind of observing behaviors around me, and I just, some of the things I didn't love what I saw.
What else do they do during siesta time? What else do they do?
They close stores.
They close the stores. That's how important the midday naps are after lunch.
When you went to college, though, you had originally set out to follow a different path. Tell us about that.
I really wanted to go to cosmetology school and be a hairstylist or do something with dance. But I just felt like this was my calling. This was God saying this is where you need to be. And so I knew right away I was going to college to be a special ed major. And I went to Western Illinois. I was vice president of Best Buddies. I was part of the CEC, Council for Exceptional Children. Went to conferences with some of my professors to learn more about, managing different disabilities. And I student taught at Valley View. And the last 2 weeks of your student teaching experience, you can kind of observe other programs. So I went to the transition program, Bolingbrook High School, and I had to bother Andrea Ellickson for a while because she was the teacher at the time, and I was learning all things transition, and I just fell in love with the STEP program. And that fall, they had a position open, so I applied, and I was part-time to start, and then I was full-time, and I've been there ever since. That was 2010.
When you were on the dance team in high school, did you ever have any idea that the skills you acquired doing that were going to come in handy once you became a teacher?
Once I became a teacher, well, yeah, I like to do like Zumba. I would do like Zumba workouts, and every Wednesday we do a workout video here, a dance workout. We added Would You Rather in today. I also do the Student First Staff basketball game, so I run the POMS team there. So yeah, I feel like I'm always dancing at some point. So I have to incorporate it in my classroom.
What in your job gives you personal satisfaction?
I think just helping them be independent, you know? Like I see them years down the road, they'll come and visit us. No day's the same. So, and we have them for 4 years. So I really like develop a great relationship with them, their families. And it's really hard to see them go, but at some point they do have to go, and we like let them fly, and we, you know, they have the tools that they need.
So certainly big thanks to Ms. Sadis and all of our educators at STEP who provide excellent transition experiences for our students. Thank you.
Absolutely. Moving down the agenda, Treasurer's Report. Assistant Superintendent Renich.
Thank you. The Treasurer's Action Report 6.1 for the month of March includes the normal schedule of financial reports, balance sheets, summary of revenue, expenditures, interim obligations, and debt service payments totaling $11,454,522.85 for your approval.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. A roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
And President Quigley?
Yes. Moving down the agenda, consent agenda. Dr. Woods.
Thank you, Board President Quigley. We are seeking your approval on 5 consent agenda items tonight. 7.1, Board Meeting Minutes dated April 8th, 2024. 7.2, Executive Session Meeting Minutes dated April 8th, 2024. Student Activity Contract for Irene King Elementary School with Smensels, that was 7.3. 7.4, Gifts to A. Vito Martinez Middle School. And 7.5, Resolution Number 2428, Professional Services Agreement between VVSD and Renzi and Associates for appraisal services for commercial tax appeal case.
Is there a motion? Moved. Get it? Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
And President Quigley?
Yes. Liaison reports, any and all from my right.
Yes, I would like this opportunity just to say thank you. We had an update to the Discipline Committee meeting, and I just want to thank all those people that serve on it. At that meeting, it was only just a few of us. Member Venegas was there, had some questions, and I think he got them answered very well. So we want to thank you all for that committee and all those who work so hard in all the different buildings. It's so many people that's on that committee that work directly with our students, and we're glad about where we're moving. We have not arrived yet, but we are working in stride to do that so that all kids can learn in the way that they do. So thanks to the Discipline Committee, and then over these last 2 weeks, I did have the opportunity to visit all but 7 of our schools, 5 more left to go, but I do get to see our secondary transition program, because I see them often at Walmart. And so it was very nice to see them and see how engaged that our teachers are with them. And the little ones are always my favorite, because then I can get the swing on the swing. I can get to show them how to hula hoop. And all but the gym, we was doing the hopping and the galloping, but when they got down to the crawling on the floor, I didn't go that far. But it was nice to see all that is going on in our district. So we just want to continue to thank you guys for all that you do. And the rest of 5 of you who have not seen me yet, I'll be there within the next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President Zach?
So from Wilco Area Career Center, we have a couple of qualifiers, and it's that time of the year for the state qualifiers and scholarship recipients. So for HASA state qualifiers, which is the Health, Occupation, Students of America, it's Dora Quintana from Romeoville. The FCCLA state qualifiers are Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America is Olivia Klimmer from Romeoville, Darkara Edwards from Romeoville, and Cynthia Vasquez from Romeoville. The Wilco Area Career Center Scholarship recipient is Gabrielle Sanchez from Bolingbrook and Olivia Klemecker from Romeoville. And the Will Area County Center National Technical Honor Society recipients, seniors are Maria Ejepong from Romeoville, Olivia DePaula from Romeoville, Jaden Sawyer from Bolingbrook, and Aiden Sitko from Romeoville. Thank you.
Just legislative update real briefly. There was, State of Illinois General Assembly was in session last week. They're not in this week. There is rumors that in the governor's budget that there will be additional funding for the evidence-based funding, which would bode well for the district, but nothing is in stone right now as far as percentages and how much money that might be increased. They're still saying that the state budget, they're holding tight to the dollar amounts. I think if you've seen anything else, but the income versus what they think they might have had last year, they're staying pretty steady. So hopefully the budget from an educational standpoint will at the minimum be what it was this year, with the potential for additional funds for all school districts through the evidence-based funding and perhaps other places where they can find it. So that's that. Let's see, audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board this evening? If so, please step forward, state your name, and we kindly ask you to, if you have documents, please provide those. Otherwise, please, yeah, that's fine. And limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I just want to apologize. I just got stitches out of my mouth on Friday, so some words are a little tough still. My name is Jenniferprise. I am a certified financial advisor, certified student loan professional, certified retirement education specialist, and financial advisor for 17 years. I'm not sure if you're aware of the developments in Springfield last week. As Mr. Quigley just alluded to, there were other things going on, which was Senate Bill 2568. It passed committee vote to come back with amendments. It passed on Wednesday the 17th by unanimous vote. If it is passed, it will essentially cause you to change your entire retirement offering again. Every employee may be forced to move to yet another product provider because the two that were selected may not be able to fulfill the requirements of the bill. I have a copy of the bill for each of you, and I've highlighted lines 7 through 26 that outline this requirement. I do not want to see my clients go through this yet again. It is my understanding that you have already voted on the new changes to the plan, but I would urge you to reconsider and examine the choices that were selected. Both companies offer the same exact product. There is nothing different between the two of them, so essentially there is no choice left for any employees. U.S. Omni and TSA Consulting Group is one of the largest third-party administrators in the country. They did a study on half of the school districts in the U.S. and found that when 4 or more vendors were provided on the 403B 457 platform, participation went up 25%. When you take away choice, you get less participation. I have a white paper on that as well that I handed out that you can read. When participation goes down, that's when you trigger an audit. Before COVID, the IRS was cracking down on TPAs that were also vendors on the platform because this is a conflict of interest. Now that COVID has passed, they are starting to go back on that and look to remove the conflict of interest. Your district's current TPA is also a vendor, so that may put you on the IRS's radar as well. I deeply care for my clients in this district. This is my life's work. This is my calling on my life. And I would like to make sure that we are doing everything we can to not only attract great employees to the district, but retain them as well. I am one of 6 certified student loan professionals in the state of Illinois. I'm the only one who works with school employees. I have gotten over $5 million forgiven in student loans for my clients in this area. Teachers are the only profession that have to constantly get student loans in order to get more master degrees or hours to move lanes on the pay scale. There is no other expert in this area that is helping them but me. NTSA is the National Deferred Savings Association. It is a national organization that is fighting for teachers and districts in the areas of 403Bs and 457s. I sit on the Leadership Council, and I'm heavily involved. We have hired lobbyists that fight on your behalf in Springfield all the time. Back in 2008, when IRS made the changes that required school districts to have plan documents for their 403B plans, my office flew in the top 403B lawyer in the country, and we helped this district and many other districts in the surrounding area write their plan documents for free. I'm not just an advisor, I'm an advocate. I want to be a resource for your district. I want to help educate the employees, and it is my goal to help all of my clients to retire comfortably. Thank you for looking into the 403B and 457 plan. Our goal is the best interest of the employees and the teachers. I'd love to be part of the solution and help any way I can. I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you might have.
Thank you. We'll refer you to Mr. Renich for any comments or questions later on. Appreciate it. Hi there.
Hi. President Quigley, Dr. Wood, members of the board. My name is Kate McConnell, and I am a Bolingbrook taxpayer, voter, and VVSD parent. While it has been obvious for quite some time that this board is incapable of putting the needs of our children first, that fact has become even more glaringly obvious in the last month. Through your mismanagement, ignorance, and poor decision-making, you have caused disruption to our communities, wasted taxpayer funds, and dragged the reputation of this district through the mud. The direction and tone of leadership in any organization comes from the top, in this case from our superintendent and our school board. Our previous superintendent, Rachel Kinder, led the district through an unimaginably difficult and traumatic time for our students and staff with strength, grace, and dignity. Despite her many years of exceptional service and dedication to the learners of VVSD, this board felt that she needed to be removed from her position with barely 2 months left in the school year. The board's so-called reasons for this sudden and dramatic action are not proportional to what such an action has cost the district both financially and in public trust. The lack of transparency and communication in the way this removal was handled only further brings into question the motives and decision-making of this board. These irresponsible actions are even more mind-boggling when one considers that our district is actually looking to fill 172 open positions. Who in their right mind is going to want to work in a district with this kind of turmoil at the top? How are we going to attract and retain the type of talent our children deserve? The speed in which our new superintendent, Dr. Wood, was hired suggests that this was not a surprise to all members. Dr. Wood seems to be a highly qualified and decorated educator. We wish him all the best and hope that he continues on the path that Ms. Kinder has forged to change our district for the better, and we'll be watching to ensure that he does. We hope that as he begins this process, he will prioritize listening to all stakeholders in our community and not just the ones currently sitting up here with him. There are obvious reasons for parents and staff to be angry with you for the way you disrespect our school communities and disregard your responsibility to our children and their futures. But through your cavalier attitude toward the wasting of funds, you have found a way to disrespect taxpayers and voters in our communities who are struggling as it is with rising costs everywhere, including on their property tax bills. Again, as a taxpayer, I resent your fiscal recklessness. As the daughter, wife, niece, and great-granddaughter of teachers, I also find your treatment of our teaching staff insulting. Teaching is the profession that makes all other professions possible. As a country, we have a terrible habit of underpaying our teachers and then equating that smaller salary with their worth as professionals. Teachers are the architects of the future, molding young minds and nurturing the next generation of leaders, innovators, and global citizens. Their importance cannot be overstated in the development of individuals and the progress of society as a whole. Yet when their elected representative addresses this board, she's often met with disregard and disrespect. This board seems to operate under the assumption that working cooperatively with the union is something to be avoided at all costs. I can assure you that this is not the case, and come election time, parents are going to make sure you understand just how much our teachers mean to us and to our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't expect that to happen. How you doing? I came here, I actually...
Can I get your name, please?
Oh, sure, Tom Farmer.
Tom
Tom Farmer?
Farmer, got it.
You're like Farmer in Adele.
Yep.
I came here because I have been living in Romeoville since 2003. I've been teaching in Valley View for, I think this is my 9th year. I teach here in Lukanzik, I teach science. And I'm coming to you guys today because before becoming a teacher, I used to bartend at some nightclubs in downtown Chicago. And the things that I see students wearing here, I would never have saw girls wearing downtown at a nightclub. And to me, it's just disgusting. And then whenever I ask a female teacher, I'm like, can you guys address that? Why? Why would I say anything? And I'm like, oh, bro, because she's like wearing a sports bra and like itty bitty shorts. I'm like, maybe that might be a reason. And this is the last 2 years are the first years I've actually had my children go to Valley View, because I've been sending them to St. Andrews because not only am I very religious, but I like the way they operate, and I like my kids having consequences. I like my kids having the opportunity to fail if they don't prove successful. And I'm here because I would love you guys to help do something. I don't know if you're aware of like the amount of swearing in the hallways, the amount of fights, the amount of violence, even towards staff. And the fact that I have functionally illiterate children in my 6th grade science class, it's hard for me to have them do anything because they can't even understand what I'm asking them to read. Our curriculum is written at a late 6th grade Lexile level. I have many students. We had, if I remember correctly, something like 25% of our 6th graders came in meeting or exceeding on IAR. And we're asking them to function at a high 6th grade level when they're barely functioning at a 4th or 5th grade level. And these are things that need to be addressed. And I've talked to people who, higher up in the math department, is like, oh, if you expose them to it, they'll eventually get it. That ain't happening. Exposure is not the answer, because the reality is that the students are not getting what's being laid down, and something has to be done. And a lot of it has to revolve around discipline. I don't know, there was a teacher that came to me, an incident with a knife and a student twice in one day, and the kids back in the class, and there's a lot of things going on that I really, really, really wish you guys would be here to pay attention to. I mean, if I had my way, I would love for you guys to all sub for a day or for like a week or something like that. I mean, I know that you have jobs outside of here, but the reality is I don't believe that you understand what's really going on the ground, and I think it's unfortunate because of the fact that you can do it. What we want you to do is totally doable. Some kids, if a kid can't read by 3rd grade, there's something up with that, and it should be addressed. There's no way I should be having 6th graders who can't read a sentence, can't write their name on a paper. And I'm just coming here because as a parent of kids that now go to Valley View, I think it's time for me to start speaking up, and I feel bad for the children, because I do this because I love doing it. And it breaks my heart seeing students being asked to do something, because I don't know if you guys are aware of your frustration level. Once you get above 2 grade levels above where you're functioning at, you get to a frustration level where you shut down. And I see a lot of kids shutting down because we're asking them to do something that they just can't do, because at no point were in the past were they required to show competence. And that's my concern, because it's not like, oh, just push them off to high school. They're eventually going to get it, because it ain't going to work out that way. I have never seen, as far as what I know from human psychology, the ability to learn and, cognition, it doesn't happen. And so I wanted to come say my piece. I don't have nothing bad to say about you guys. I don't even know you personally, but I'm hoping that you all could do something together to help us out in the building, and some type of discipline would be much appreciated. Because I got to tell, and I'll tell everybody this, they had to dress like a student day. So what I wore like a little crop top, and I wore some the ones that you wear for like the flannel pants, right? Before school, I had phone calls, text messages, and emails from both my administrators, personal visits from them before school, right? I'm walking down the hallway, there's kids dressed exactly like me. I get carded, I get forced to cover up, but not the students. I don't think that's right, you know, and especially because I was trying to dress like a student, and when I did, I get told I have to cover up, but then there's little girls walking down the hallway with me wearing what I'm wearing and less. So, to me, that's an issue that should be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I don't know how to put this thing back. There we go. Have a great day.
Thank you. Welcome.
President Quigley, members of the board, Dr. Wood, members of the administration. All
You want to raise that up?
Oh, I'd go
You can raise it
closer,
up.
better?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Better?
There we go.
Excellent. Members of the Valley View community, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you today. My name is Bill Spangler, for those I don't know. I managed to get 3 through BHS. They all graduated and they're off at college or past that now. I'm a past candidate for school board. I share those things merely to reflect that we're a diverse community of stakeholders out here. I'm on my way out. Kate, who spoke, is coming up, and she said pretty much all the things that I wanted to say, which is why my notes are over there as opposed to up here with me. But when I last came and spoke to the board in March, as we were approving Dr. Wood to come in and take on the superintendency, I challenged for more transparency from this organization in how and why you make decisions that you make, particularly as it relates to some of these issues that the community is so concerned and invested in. I had brief, small hope because you took time at that meeting to explain some mechanics of how the hiring process works. Great, we're on a path forward. We're going to hear more things from them about why they do the things that they do, how they make those decisions. Then I came to the meeting last time on the 8th and left in a daze because of all of the new information about all of the change that I had to digest and how little of it felt transparent. I left with many questions, and again, I'm not going to repeat the kinds of things that Kate has already eloquently laid out, but we don't have trust and we don't have transparency here, and we need that from you. I implore you. I mean, we're watching, we're waiting, we're wondering, are we going to get it? And I just hope that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Patty Drugan. I am a born and raised in Bolingbrook person. I went through the school district. My children have gone through the school district. My grandchildren are currently in the school district. I would like to come up here and also repeat some of what our wonderful union steward said. I am not happy with the way that you all disrespected our superintendent, Rachel Kinder. The way you had her leave, completely disrespectful the way that you did her. It is not okay, it is not okay, it is not okay. I would like to ask Mr. J.T. Baduris, what was it that you were FOIAing? If you already said why you were doing the FOIAs, then I missed it. But I would like to know what it was that you have been doing the FOIAs, all the FOIAs that you have done. I want to know what it was for. All of us need to know, so I'm sure at the end we can talk once the meeting is over. I would like to know what it was that you were FOIAing. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with what's been going on. I do not like the way that the teachers are getting treated. These are our teachers. They're the ones that are taking care of our children, our grandchildren. We must respect them and what it is that they are doing. I really appreciate Rachel Kinder and how she handled everything during COVID. And as well, I respect all of the teachers as well. So I'm going to wait. We'll talk to you after the meeting is over. We'd like to know what the FOIAs were for. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there's no further comments, moving down the agenda. Action reports. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Nash, Human Resources. If you would,
Yes, sir.
please.
Thank you, President Quigley. Action Report 10.1 this evening is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. We're seeking your approval on all items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
and President Quigley.
Yes. Moving down the agenda, 11.0, action reports, administrative services. Mr. Renich.
Yes, at the last board meeting, this was presented as an informational item. The print shop is looking to replace a production color copier as the current copier has reached its useful life. The current copier is 4.5 years old with over 22 million copies. The administration is recommending that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the high-quality colored printer and binding system from Konica Minolta for a total price of $155,226.63 and a 5-year term maintenance agreement as presented. It's important to note that the attorneys have provided an addendum to this contract, which is included in your board packet.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
and President Quigley.
Yes. Audit request.
At the last board meeting, this was presented as an informational item. The district has concluded its request for proposal process for auditing services. Based on the results of the process, a firm was selected to conduct the annual audit engagement. The administration is recommending that the Board of Education approve Lauder and Amen LLP for a 3-year audit proposal as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
and President Quigley.
Yes. Chromebook purchases.
In support of the district's strategic plan, the technology department has created a 4-year plan for device replenishment to support staff and students. The technology department partners with the instructional technology department to understand and meet the device needs of the schools. At the March 1st Finance Committee meeting, it was discussed as a strategy to purchase the Chromebooks as a way to maximize ESSER III funds. The purchase from ESSER III would be this fiscal year, which in turn would reduce the fiscal year 2024-25 budget. The purchase would support 1st, 5th, and 9th grade students. The cost also includes Google licensing and a 4-year warranty. This purchase supports the long-term student device replenishment plan, so the administration is recommending that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 2,545 Chromebooks from Dell in the amount of $1,099,618.15 as presented.
So moved.
Was a
Excuse
motion- That's subject to do attorney review, correct? Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Subject to attorney review and approval.
Got that. All righty. We have a motion and a second. Is there a roll call vote?
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell, Vice President Zach,
Yes.
and President Quigley.
Yes. I want to thank John for bringing that forth to us about purchasing these versus leasing and the savings on that. I forget what the total savings was. It was several $100,000 over the course of 3 or 4 years. So thank you for the concept of doing that, and what we were doing before may not have made, it may have made sense at one point in time, but didn't necessarily make sense going forward. So thank you. Moving down the agenda, where are we at? The action report items 12.1, is that correct? Dr. Wood?
Yes, item 12.1 was presented as an information report during the last board meeting. It is for the purchase of a Parent Square Universal Communication app that provides for consistent and two-way engagement of families. We are seeking your approval on this item, subject to attorney review and approval of contract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
And President Quigley?
Yes. Superintendent information reports. Dr. Wood?
For President Quigley, I just have a couple of updates, and we know that this is the change of season, so that brings opportunity to get outside, and so many, if not all, of our schools are transitioning to outdoor activities to include kids for recess. This picture right here is, I believe that's Brooks tennis courts, and we got a couple of folks out there playing, what is that, tennis. So it's a good opportunity to take in some fresh air after being cooped up all winter long. This also is a season of appreciation. As you see listed, we have quite a few appreciation days coming up to include our bus drivers, which will be April 23rd, our secretaries on April 24th, principals May 1. That's a national recognition. Our lunch heroes who are work in the food services department on May, what is that? 3rd. And our wonderful and amazing teachers have Teacher Appreciation Week that is around the date of May 7th, and our nurses set up for May 8th. So just a wonderful opportunity to appreciate across many levels our amazing Valley View staff members. And also, and this was actually mentioned earlier, but it's important to note, we do want individuals to consider being a part of Valley View and the wonderful things that we have to offer. And we have a link that is attached for folks in the community and beyond to explore job opportunities here in Valley View. Some important upcoming dates. Wednesday, April 24th is early release. Friday, May 3rd is a teacher workday, no student attendance. Wednesday, May 8th is also early release, and Monday, May 13th is our next board meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Title I school-wide plans for fiscal year 2025.
That is me as well. Yes, item 13.2, Title I school-wide plan for fiscal year 2025. It's pursuant to guidelines for the Illinois State Board of Education. Existing Title I school-wide buildings must review and update their plans to reflect new priorities and updates under the Every Student Succeeds Act. We do have Mrs. Short and Mr. Locascio in the audience, should there be any questions about that, not annual process, but 3 to 5 year process unless something significant happens. If no questions, then I have a recommendation to approve the FY25 Title I school-wide plans will be brought to the next meeting.
13.3, consolidated instruction and operational software maintenance renewal. Mr. Renish, is that you?
Correct.
I saw your light go on.
This is a report that's brought to the Board of Education each year outlining all the titles that support our learners and administrative functionality. We have 19 titles falling under the district's educational services support and 8 titles falling under administrative services for technology support. In total, we have 27 titles that are in excess of $25,000 renewal for an estimated cost for next year at $2,957,881. Containing your packet is a report that has the details of the software being considered. This is just an informational report, and the administration's intent is to bring forth a recommendation for consideration for your approval at the next regular board meeting. And if we make any minor changes, we'll let the board know what those changes are.
Thank you very much. I'd encourage board members to take a look at that. If you have questions, you know how to get in touch with Mr. Renich. Facility operations vehicle replacement.
So unfortunately, on February 1st, 2024, one of our district maintenance vehicles was involved in an accident. The other driver was at fault and no one was injured. However, our insurance carrier has determined that the district's vehicle had a total loss. I've included photographs of that in your packet. This vehicle is part of our daily fleet, and as a result, we need to replace this truck as soon as possible. In your packet, the information was presented regarding the purchasing of a new truck. Since the submission of this board document, we have information on perhaps purchasing a used truck with the same options. A used truck can be delivered within 45 days versus a new truck to fabricate would take up to a year and a half, as there's a backlog for those trucks. In addition, a used truck would be far less expensive. The district is working with its insurance carrier, Liberty Mutual, to subrogate the claim and to reduce the cost exposure to the district. This is an information report, and the administration's intent is to explore options and bring a recommendation at the next board meeting.
Anybody have any comments or concerns on that? Let Mr. Renich know, please. Moving down the agenda, my computer just went out, so I'm working off paper. English language arts student works text online curriculum adoption for 3rd through 5th grades.
Yes, in the interest of ongoing continuous improvement, specifically in the area of literacy, information is being brought forth prior to seeking approval for the adoption purchase of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into reading, Arriba, La Lectura, teacher and student print and digital resources. Maria Burgos, Executive Director of Pre-K 5, and her team are here to present their findings.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Good evening, President Quigley, members of the board, Valley View staff, and members of our community. We are excited to share our work to strengthen English language arts instruction and our next steps in curriculum implementation. Additionally, I'd like to thank the teachers that are here with us today. We have Nikki Fagus and Gina Picarillo, 5th grade co-teachers at Jonah Salk, and Stephen Pop, 4th grade teacher at Jamie McGee. Thank you so much for being here with us. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Director of Elementary Curriculum, Karen Hess, and Megan Healy, our Curriculum Coordinator, who will be highlighting key points for us tonight regarding our curriculum adoption for your consideration. And since I have the microphone, I'd like to give a shout out to Karen Hess, who's celebrating her birthday today and is with us tonight. So.
Good evening, everyone. If we can go to our next slide. So we know that literacy skills are crucial to our students' success in all academic areas and will be needed throughout their lives. We knew when we started to explore this adoption that we needed consistent curricular resources for grades 3 through 5 for both English and Spanish language arts. We wanted our teachers to be supported and our students to have consistent access to grade level reading and writing opportunities. Our process began with gathering the voice of our teachers, administrators, and students, and you can see that voice represented here in our hopes and dreams for literacy instruction. During this 23-24 school year, approximately 60 teachers have engaged in piloting language arts units. Our pilot teachers include general education, dual language, challenge, crosscat, and supported education teachers. Literacy instruction is at the heart of our portrait of a learner competencies, and the materials in Into Reading, Arriba La Lectura, emphasize these important qualities. So our teachers and students will too. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Megan Healy, our curriculum coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. Increased student outcomes lead to increased student success in life. Our 3-5 Language Arts Initiative will lead to increased outcomes through a focus on curriculum that provides teachers with the necessary tools to support high-quality reading and writing instruction. We know that Valley View has the absolute best students around. And this is why we want to prioritize a resource that is committed to building on our students' strengths by providing them with high-quality, grade-level text daily. Teachers and students will receive access to digital and print materials. The program provides teachers with a lesson guide that helps to identify learning goals and differentiation. There are slides for daily instructional use so that teachers can really focus their time on delivering that instruction. Students have access to digital components as well as a student work text that put high quality, diverse texts in our students' hands every day. Our teachers found Into Reading, Arriba a Lectora resources very supportive in helping their students grow as readers, writers, speakers, and listeners. We know that writing is an absolute essential component in becoming an effective communicator. And our teachers found that Into Reading, Arriba a Lectora, to be a resource that expresses students to the many opportunities for writing on a daily level. Reading and analyzing challenging texts helps our students to develop as critical thinkers. And our teachers found that this resource was very supportive in helping to structure analytical activities daily. Here, you can see some voice from some of our teachers who could not join us this evening. We also have some teachers who have joined us this evening, and we would like to invite them to share some of their thoughts now.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Popp, and I am a 4th grade teacher at Jamie McGee. During this school year, I had the privilege to have my classroom to be invited to participate in the ELA curriculum pilot. My students and I had the opportunity to explore 2 different curriculums in the fall and the winter. While we found pros and cons in both of these curricula, there was one standout for both of the students and for me, and that was Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's HMH, as we call it, Into Reading curriculum. I have taught in 3 districts in both 4th and 5th grade over my many years as an educator, and I have used many ELA curriculums in those years. HMH is by far the most comprehensive, well-crafted, and well-rounded curriculum that I have ever used. Let me detail some of the components that stood out to me in this program. It is evident that this curriculum was designed by experienced teachers with both students and teachers in mind. But let's begin with the benefits that this program holds for the students, as they are the ones who really matter in deciding on adopting a new curriculum. To begin with, Into Reading covers an expansive amount of skills and standards, some of which I don't ever remember having a curriculum for. For some examples of these skills are figurative language, elements of poetry and drama, authentic practice and experience with author's craft, vocabulary development, and grammar components built into the lessons for each text. Each of the well-selected texts is used to teach a variety of skills so that the students are able to see those skills being utilized in combination with others they've learned. The texts themselves are some of the most diverse stories, poems, plays, folk tales, legends, narrative nonfiction, and culturally focused stories that I've ever seen compiled together in one collection. Students often made comments about the connections that they made to the characters, the settings, and the situations, and the topics of these texts, both from a personal and a cultural perspective. They were engaged from the first few sentences to the very end of each of these texts, and they were eager to engage in conversation about them. Into Reading also focuses heavily on the written component of reading, which is not an easy thing to ask kids to do, especially willingly. Each selection is thought-provoking and promotes oral discussion, but also stimulates students thinking to write about their thoughts and opinions about the diverse topics included in these texts. I noticed a definite increase in my students' endurance and performance on the written portions of IAR this year, which is a huge celebration. I feel they had so many opportunities in class with HMH to write about what they had read, and that it is most definitely carried over to the authentic situations such as the written response portion of these standardized tests. HMH has also done an amazing job of considering learning abilities at all levels. Lessons are differentiated logically for those struggling readers all the way up to those who are already exceeding expectations for that grade level. The program also offers multiple suggestions for our ELL students so that every student has access to the text and can participate no matter their ability. I'd like to mention the benefits that this curriculum holds for educators, some of which overlap with those that I already mentioned for students. First, the lessons are designed in such a way that are easy to understand for teachers who have little experience with ELA instruction to those who have been teaching it for many years. Everything is color-coded and organized so that each lesson can be easily identified within the same text. As a teacher, I can attest to how much time this curriculum saves me in preparation, including differentiating, enrichment, informative, and summative assessing of those taught skills and standards. The stories and texts are actually interesting, are layered to include science, social studies, geographic, cultural, historical, and sociological topics, while teaching the reading skills. Our discussions about the text had just as much to do about the topic of the text than the reading skills we were using it to learn. I also had so many data points for my students for the standards that I was required to teach through a variety of ways, from the introduction of these texts that made up the module to the summative assessment on the taught skills of the module. Each module was also embedded with grammar lessons as well as vocabulary and phonics lessons, which is something else that I've not seen executed effectively in one comprehensive curriculum. The other ingenious design of this ELA curriculum is that the reading and writing components of each module are connected by a common theme or essential question, so that what we read about is also what we are writing about. The writers of this curriculum took their time in selecting the text used and then crafting the connections to the many writing genres that are covered. Writing is clearly not a separate entity from reading, as is evident in Into Reading. I hope that I have effectively relayed to you how effective, impressive, and most importantly, successful this curriculum has been in my classroom this year, as I truly believe that it would be just as equally received in all grades 3 to 5 classrooms in Valley View. Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Into Reading curriculum is a resource that will benefit the diverse population of learners that we have here in Valley View, and I hope that you all allow our 3rd through 5th graders to experience Into Reading. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gina Picarillo, and I am a 5th grade supported ed teacher at Jonas Salk. My role in the classroom is to provide individualized supports for students to help them achieve grade level standard targets. What really draws me to this particular curriculum is the cohesiveness of the materials. This is absolutely crucial for our learners, especially our students with differing abilities. Specifically in my small group instruction, I relied on the tabletop mini lessons and graphic organizers that allowed the information to be visibly displayed, accessible, and referenced during our group. Another benefit to utilizing HMH is the ability to differentiate with the available resources provided online with their program. This allows me to provide exposure to grade level content with their peers, but then create individualized instruction at my students' comprehension levels with relevant and meaningful materials.
I'm Nikki Fagist, and I proudly teach 5th grade at Jonas Salk Elementary. Okay, sorry. As I said, I'm Nikki Fagist. I teach at Jonas Salk Elementary, 5th grade with Mrs. Picarillo. Last week, when I was thinking about what I wanted you to know about this new curriculum, I thought about it from a teacher perspective. I was going to tell you how great it is to have a clear, coherent program that values explicit instruction and practice. I was going to tell you how amazing it is to have a fully integrated reading and writing program. I was also going to bring work samples to show you the incredible growth my students have made as readers, writers, and learners. I was going to talk about the valuable time savings we have experienced by having the resources at our fingertips rather than trying to hunt for support for our struggling learners or our ESL students, or even just the basic materials needed to implement the curriculum. Instead, I decided to share a very small anecdote from the student perspective. Last Friday, I announced that it was time for writing. For the first time in my 16 years in Valley View, my students cheered. They couldn't get their writing materials out fast enough. Then we turned on some thinking music. The next thing I knew, there were small voices throughout the classroom singing, and they were still writing. They never looked up from their writing. Their pencils never stopped moving. And they were sad when lunch came because they had to put their writing away. Student voice in the curriculum is worth more than anything I could offer you. They are who we serve. They are why we are here.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, for all of you. And also just a huge thank you to all the pilot teachers. We wouldn't be here and we could not do this without you. So thank you. As Nikki stated, our students are the reason why we are here, and our students have made many connections and enjoyed the resources as well. You will hear from some of them directly in a short video that will end this presentation.
We know that it's extremely important that we also help prepare our teachers to utilize a quality resource to really reach their students in literacy. And what you can see here is what we have prepared in order to help our teachers do just that. There will be a mix of on-demand online content and also in-person content to help make sure that they can help every one of their learners to be successful. We will just take a tiny bit more of your time to show you a quick video that really speaks to that student voice piece. There's plenty of students featured here telling you what they loved about this experience.
Disasters make us feel safer because if I'm in that situation, I would know where to shelter.
Oh, how to be prepared. Okay, I love it.
Something I liked about HMAs is when we learned about natural disasters because it helped me prepare more, even if I live in Chicago's and those don't happen. When I go on vacation, I'll still be able to know.
Like the texting on the sidebars that helped me better understand.
What did it help you better understand?
Like when it was talking about earthquakes and there was something, I forgot what it was called, but on the sidebar it told me like what the definition of it was.
And it helped me focus a lot.
Okay.
There was just a lot of interesting things I didn't know, and that's how I stayed focused.
What was your favorite story you read about?
I like my diary from here to there.
Why?
Because it tells, like, if you're scared, you to move from where you are. It's okay. You just gotta be brave inside.
That's a great lesson.
What can we add to our essential questions? How does food get to your table, and how does that make you feel about the food that you eat? Think about it. Write on your sticky note, your pink one, and then we'll share out.
I like HMH because we're able to connect with our peer members and work together. I like HMH because we get to learn about different cultures and other people's stories. I like HMH because we get to answer the question at the end because we can go back in the text.
So after we're reading this, we're going to go ahead and read and react, and we're going to write down an I'm wondering statements.
HMH porque me gustó mucho, porque estaba bien chistoso. Que me gustó fue esperar y es muy bien chistoso también. En mi opinión fue bien interesante.
It has improved my writing from the past because before I was bad at writing, obviously, but now I got better and better by using HMH.
How?
Using the new strategies that they taught us. Maybe part of races, probably.
I'm so happy. So you kind of like writing now?
I kind of like writing now.
That's awesome. And you never did before?
I never did.
He's not the only one.
So that concludes the informational part of our presentation, but we did just want to open up and ask you if you have any questions for us.
Anyone have any questions? I want to thank you guys for bringing this forward because this is the kind of stuff that making it real where it hits the classroom. So thanks for putting the presentation together, but also pulling this whole thing together in general. So, and Huff and Mifflin and Harcourt have been around since everybody in this room was around. It used to be Harcourt, Brace, and what was it, Jovanovic? For those of us who are old enough, maybe just me. Is that a couple of them nodding their head up here? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving down the agenda, legal services report.
No formal report tonight.
Thank you very much. Association reports, Local 604. Apparently no report. Valley View Office Personnel Council, ditto. And Valley View Transfer, Local 3057, apparently the same. Any old business before the board? Any new business before the board? Seeing none, hearing none. Any freedom of information requests?
Hold on. I
Oh,
had something
sorry.
I'd like to say.
Freedom of information reports are with Mr. Blaney, online. Any announcements by the board?
All right, now I'd like to say something. I was going to make my remarks down on a level closer to that which we have been addressed the past few meetings. And then I remembered this is a school district where we teach our children, like my 5-year-old daughter, to speak to people politely and with respect. With that being said, I would like to address a few things from the last few board meetings, just to clear some things up so there's no misunderstanding. Number one, public comment is not for personal attacks or discussion of personnel issues. Number two, the issue of the assistant superintendent was brought up. It may not have been known that the board has asked for a long time that an assistant superintendent be hired. It may not have been known that the position was posted in December of 2023. And the first interviews were conducted on April 1st of this year. It may not have been known that interviews were conducted by panel committees made up of several staff members. And those panel committees made a selection, and we are thrilled to have one of the district's own choose to come back to Valley View, Dr. Teresa Polson. Number three, the issue of RIFs was raised. RIF procedure every single year has been mentioned many times. Dr. Judy Nash and her staff make recommendations about who is being RIFed and submit it to the board for a vote. It may not have been known that it was pulled off the agenda a couple weeks ago because the board did not feel it had enough time to look at the recommendations, given that the board had previously had given a directive that cuts should try to be as far away from the classroom as possible. Number four, this issue of spending money on buildings and capital projects was raised. Certain funds cannot, by law, be spent on personnel. They can only be spent on capital projects. Also, I would like to point out that each year, roughly $240 million is spent on compensation of our personnel. The board does appreciate the hard work and effort that the staff in the classrooms give. Everyone is on fumes at this time of year. We understand that and we hear you. We also know that this board has had good relations with every single other union president. We may not agree on everything, but we know that being civil to one another and not taking personal shots at board members has been how we have operated. A year or two ago, it was said that it was important for people to give each other grace. Let's do that. And I have an announcement. As I mentioned, one of those 15,000 students that will remember me is my daughter, who is at the Early Childhood Center with Principal Tanya Williams, and she had graciously given all the families tonight. There's a kindergarten transition, and there are a list of open houses for the kindergartens at all the schools. I was paying attention, Ms. Tanya, but I cannot remember where you said that they can find that information. I think they can call the school, but it's probably online. But the dates are May 2nd, May 7th, 8th, May 14th, May 15th, and May 16th.
Thank you. Member Badouris. Any other announcements by the board? I just had a quick, first of all, I want to wish my dad, Patrick Michael Lee Sr., 84 spins around the planet, or around the sun, I guess it is. So happy birthday, Pop. I'm sure you're not watching, but happy birthday to you. And he's got the white Irish hair that I will never have, because by the time I get to be that old, if I live that long, which I probably won't, because my dad was never a school board president, so he'll probably live a lot longer than me. But I wish him a happy birthday. Much love. Happy Earth Day to everybody today, and for those who observe, today is Passover. So, any other comments by the board members? Any announcements by the administration?
Just one real quickly, President Quigley, if I may. First of all, I want to thank all of the educators who came out tonight and shared their time with us with respect to the curriculum adoption. Thank you very much for that and taking the time tonight. And second of all, we have 2 hires tonight to highlight that I just wanted to mention. The first is Meg Morgenstern, the new assistant principal at Brooks Middle School for next year. I wanted to congratulate her. And then one, probably the most important to some of us here on the board, actually everyone's important, but replacing Ms. Shelley Casey when she retires at the end of June. In the audience today, we have Ms. Patricia Areola, who will be our new confidential secretary and board clerk. I would like to introduce her. Close to our hearts. Thank you very much for that, for allowing me to do so, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nash. Dr. Wood?
No announcement.
No announcements? All righty. If there is no further business before the board, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Motion and seconded. I'll go ladies first. That being said, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Thank you. Have a good, safe night. Happy spring.